You know, guys, it's disappointing. Sometimes people are so predictable. Like Athens and Sparta, we all knew that they couldn't get along to save their lives. The Persian War, it was a nice little distraction. We united together. Yay! We fought the Persians. We got back our homeland. But did we learn anything? No. Today, we're going to take a look at how Athens grew after the Persian Wars and how Sparta got a little too uncomfortable with Persia growing that much, and what happens when the two of them decide that they just can't share Greece anymore. Guys, come on, this is kindergarten stuff. We share. We are Chapter 7, Lesson 4, Glory, War, and Decline. Womp womp. We're going to see how Greece had it all and it slipped through their hands because they couldn't remember some very basic things that we learned at the beginning of the year. And it matters because the Peloponnesian War had a dividing effect on Greece. This is going to be the war between Athens and Sparta. And Greek culture declined. It went downhill after this conflict. So let's rewind a minute, remember what's going on at the end of the Persian Wars, and see where that goes from there. Now, we got to remember about our government of Athens. Around 500 BC, Athens became a democracy. And we know democracy means rule by the people. Democracy. So for the first time in history, a government was based on the votes of all of its citizens. Do me a favor, circle the word citizens here. Oop. Citizens, okay? But remember, not everybody was a citizen, right? No women, children, slaves, foreigners. You had to be male, freeborn, descended from Athenian parents. Now, we have one great leader that we've learned a little bit about that helped bring democracy to its height or its peak. So when we think about our gentleman Pericles brought democracy to its peak, okay? And do me a favor and write in the word peak above Pericles. Pericles began to not just encourage people in Athens to participate in government, but reward them if they participated in government. And so this is one of his sayings that I thought was really powerful and spoke to his ideas about people participating in government. He said, "What you leave behind is not engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others." He thought that it was a responsibility for all Athenians to participate in government. Everyone who could, should. So here's a speech that you have this in your own packet, and I want you to underline this, okay? We've got a couple of things. So he is talking to people who have died in battle, okay? And he wants to remind the Athenians of how great a responsibility it is to participate in government. He says, an Athenian government does not put private affairs before the affairs of state. Underline, even our merchants and businessmen know something about politics. He says, hey guys, we're better than all the other policies because even our common people know about politics. We believe that a man who takes no interest in public affairs is more than harmless. He is useless. Circle that word useless. Put some stars by it. He says, if you do not participate in government, you are useless. And he's kind of throwing some shade at other polises here too. He says, hey, you know, in Sparta and these other places, people aren't as knowledgeable. But here, the Athenians are supposed to participate in government, okay? So take a moment on your hot question, your higher order thinking question, to tell me what responsibilities does Pericles feel that all Athenian citizens have? Now, when we talk about democracy, and we touched on this today in class, it's important to remember it's a little bit different than democracy that we have in America. So let's take a quick look at this chart that you have on your notes. Democracy then and now. Okay? So in Athenian direct democracy, please underline that all citizens met as a group. So the citizens would go out to this hill outside of Athens called the Ponyx Hill. And they would listen to speeches, they would debate, and they would vote directly, kind of like we did with our issue today as far as chocolate cake versus chocolate ice cream. And so they gathered all together to do this. So there could be thousands of people. And in fact, the leaders of this assembly would send out slaves through the agora, the marketplace, with a big red rope that was covered in red chalk. And they were instructed to, if they saw a citizen who should have been at the assembly and wasn't, to mark them with that red chalk and to bring them. So they were kind of shaming people into participating. Now, in American representative democracy, the kind that we have, we can't all send all of our citizens to Washington, D.C. to vote on every single law. There's just too many of us, and we're spread out over too far of a distance. We're not just one city. So we elect representatives to debate on issues and then vote for us. So it's a little bit more, or a little bit less direct than in ancient Athens, like we did today, where you chose a representative from your table to come vote for you. In ancient Athens, there was no separation of powers. So underline separation of powers. Citizens in the assembly created the laws, enforced them, and acted as judges. But in the United States today, we have a separation of powers. We have 3 different branches of government, and you've learned a little bit about these in other places, and you'll learn some more in civics too. But we elect some people to create laws. That's our Congress here. Others to enforce laws, like presidents, governors, vice presidents, and others to be judges to decide if the laws are fair. And we've decided that with a country our size, having that separation of powers is the best, so that no one person gets too much power. In ancient Athens, of course, we know only those free male citizens could vote. Okay? Again, underline free male citizens. Women and slaves, sorry, we are out of luck. So democracy for everyone, as long as everyone doesn't mean women or slaves or foreigners. But in the United States, men and women who are citizens have the right to vote. And you don't have to be born in the United States to become a citizen. Okay? You can be born in another country and become a citizen. And you have to take a test and meet certain requirements. So these people in this picture here are becoming citizens, and then after they do that, then they will have the right to vote and participate in government. But you do not have to be born in the United States to be a citizen. Now, take a moment and look at this compare and contrast list. And you're welcome to number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And then based on the chart that we see over here, I want you to sort these into Athens, Sparta, or both. So based on this chart, men and women who are citizens have the right to vote. Well, number 1, male and female citizens over the age of 18 can vote, only goes in the United States. Okay? In Athens, women couldn't vote. So I know I can't put that in Athens or both. Okay? So go ahead and sort those out, and you can just number them and then sort the numbers right in the appropriate box. When you're done with that, move on to your video notes, and we'll go over these in class to make sure you have them accurate. So after the Persian War, Greece was real concerned that Persia was going to come back again for revenge. So they knew that our enemies are always watching, so they decided, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to form alliances. And an alliance protected each city-state. They said, okay, if you get attacked, our military will come support you. And if we get attacked, then you come support us. But it also protected trade in the Aegean Sea. Now, the Aegean Sea is this area right over here, okay? So right here between where Persia was and where Greece is. So city-states that were involved all gave money to support the alliance. And the money was kept on the island of Delos. And that's what you see right here, this island. And the alliance became known as the Delian League. Well, Athens here was the strongest member. They said, hey guys, you know we've got that big old powerful navy, so we're going to protect you. And that's great and all, but also we're in control of the money. So there's that. By the way, we're just going to watch it for you guys, okay? So Athens, at first they were kind of acting like the protective big brother, and yeah, guys, we're going to watch you. But they started then treating the other members like subjects. Like, hey, if you don't do what we ask you to, we're going to take away our protection. Hey, you should give us this. You should give us that. They were kind of being bullies. They even were using the money that everybody had pitched in for the Delian League to rebuild their city after the Persians had attacked it. So, I don't know. And of course, their justification was, well, we need a strong city with big walls to be able to protect everyone else. Now, if you're a little tiny polis and Athens saved your butt in the Persian Wars, then of course, you're most likely going to kind of give in here, right? Because we don't want Athens mad at us. We know, especially if we're near the ocean, they could destroy us. Okay, so Athens, after the Persian War, went through this period of kind of being big man on campus and being the coolest guy around and really gaining lots and lots and lots of power. And not everybody was real happy about that.
The whole thing?
All right, so Sparta is just watching all of this and watching Athens act up and just thinking, oh, God, really, really didn't want to get involved, Athens. Was perfectly happy wandering around the mountains, being mean to slaves, and playing with swords. Really was happy there. But we can't let Athens be bullies. So Sparta and some other city-states form the Peloponnesian League to stand up to Athens. And they say, all right, that's fine. We will fight the war, okay? But it was very, very divided. We see all this green area is the area of Sparta and their allies. All the way up here, this area is called Macedonia. And then all of the yellow is Athens and its allies. And then, of course, all the tan is area that is neutral, meaning that we don't want to get involved, not our battle. This war lasts a ridiculous amount of time because, again, just like in the Persian War, Athens has that strong navy while Sparta has that strong army. Okay, so the war ends up lasting a ridiculous amount of time, 25 years. And one of the reasons it lasted so long was because of the way Athens was designed. So here's Athens, right? Here's the city-state of Athens. And they have, here's their city, a wall that goes all the way around the city, down the road 3 miles to the harbor where they can get in and out. And remember, Athens has that strong navy, so they only need the ocean. They don't need the surrounding land. They're good. They can bring food in from their allies in this way. They can get whatever they want. So for a long time, the Spartan soldiers camped out all around. But it didn't matter because the Athenians were well protected. The problem comes when the Athenians get sick. A plague strikes. Now, a plague is a deadly disease that spreads rapidly, okay? So if you think the flu season was bad this year, I want you to imagine something 100 times worse, okay? It was just absolutely the worst that you can imagine. Almost a third of the population died in Athens, and they can't escape because they're all walled in, because that's what they did to themselves. Even Pericles, that great leader, died of the plague. And so the Spartans start watching, and they say, hey, you know what? We could get some money and build some boats from the Persians. Oh no, because they want some land. Whatever, we don't care. You can have some land as long as you leave us alone. And we're going to beat the Athenians because the Persians don't like Athens. So the Spartans started watching, and they ended up taking over. So Sparta wins the war, but now Greece is very weak and divided. Of course they are. 25 years of war over the entire peninsula is going to make a mess. Farms were destroyed, people were left without jobs, and Sparta had to rule. And Sparta only knew how to rule very harshly. So people started rebelling, okay? They won the war, they were in control now, great, but they didn't really want to rule all of these different polises. They were perfectly happy staying in theirs, so they ruled harshly, and people were very, very unhappy with it. So all the polises are fighting and arguing, and it just is an absolute mess. Food is really scarce. Everybody is just struggle busing. It is not a good time at all. So the Greeks failed to notice the strength of one of their old allies to the north, this area called Macedonia. Now, Macedonia had supported Sparta during the Peloponnesian War, but now they are watching, because we know our enemies always watch, all right? And we are going to see very, very soon that they're going to take advantage of this, and we're going to see some people that you might know of, but this little tiny bit up here might be able to take over all of Greece. All right, guys, make sure you get all those video notes done. We'll talk to you soon. I love you. Have a great night. Bye.